Hello everyone. If you have an iPhone, you may have seen something about upgrading to iOS 26. Let's talk about that for just a second. Figure out whether it's a good thing or not. First of all, we're going to talk about what is iOS and specifically iOS 26. And then we're going to look at the option. Should I upgrade or not? First of all, a little background slide here that I use in many of my presentations. What's an iOS, right? Well, iOS is an operating system. It's a bunch of software that makes your iPhone work. And I use this little graphic here to show you this is the hardware. So this is the chips and wires of your phone. Then on top of that, logically, is the iOS. Of course, now we have Apple Intelligence. If you have an iPhone 15 Pro or later, you'll know about Apple Intelligence. And then we have all the apps that you use on your phone. So iOS is really the key that keeps things running. Now, Apple upgrades iOS about once a year. Upgrades, yeah. In September. In fact, it always contains new features to add functionality, fix bugs, and increase security. And as you move forward in iOS releases, the older iPhones may not upgrade. So iOS 26 specifically is the next major revision of iOS. The previous one was iOS 18. So Apple has switched to a new naming convention. They used to just go sequentially. So there was 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, for whatever reason, they decided to attach it to the year that the iOS will be operational, in this case 2026. So iOS 26 is really iOS 19, but they've renamed it. It was released in September of 2025 with a dot release, what we call a dot release, in September. Later in September. It has a whole new visual redesign called Liquid Glass, and you can see here, this is my lock screen with my little pup Indy, and you can see the kind of glassy look for the time. And it has some more AI-based stuff. So the first thing to do is check to see if your phone is able to be upgraded to iOS 26. And you can see if you have an iPhone 11 or later, it can be upgraded. Or a SE second generation or later, it can be upgraded. The way to check to see what your phone is go to System Settings, and then go down to General, and then About. And that will tell you what model phone you have. These are the major new features in iOS 26 to help you decide. We mentioned the liquid glass design with kind of glass effects. Personally, I'm not that keen on it. It doesn't matter that much to me, but it's their big claim to fame. There's a bunch of new stuff with the lock screen. There's a clock, you can change the clock and so forth. There's some new stuff with Apple Intelligence. Not enough new stuff to warrant that being the reason to upgrade. Two of the really important features that I think are in iOS 26 are, first of all, this thing called Hold Assist. If you call the IRS and they say, oh, we'll be with you in 6 hours, you can turn on Hold Assist and set your phone down, and it will notify you when a human picks up, or probably a machine, picks up on the other end. And it will it'll let you know that there's somebody there, so you don't have to listen to it the whole time. Another cool one is, I think, almost all of us now ignore spam calls. In other words, if it's not in our contact list, we just let it ring. Or there's a setting that you can turn on that just says silence unknown calls. Well, this one takes it the next step further, and that is, if it's not in your address book, that phone number is not in your address book, it will ask the caller who they are and why they're calling. And then it will show you on your screen what their response is. So it will transcribe their response and show you on the screen, which is pretty cool. And that's really useful. You know, we have doctors that we don't know what number they're calling from, but we really want to get the call. So this will help that. So those are a couple of important features. There's some other stuff. Photos has been updated. It's a little easier to use in iOS 18. Apple changed Photos so it was hard to use, and they've undone a lot of those changes. And then there's stuff under the covers. So those are the major new features in iOS 26. Let's look at how to upgrade. First of all, you go to System Settings, General, and Software Update. And this is kind of confusing because there are two different ways to update your phone. One is what they literally call update, and that is to go to the next dot release. In other words, from 18.4 to 18.5 or 18.5 to 18.5.1. This was the only screen snap I could find, which was an old one. So if your phone, and you go to Software Update and it shows currently it's at 18.5.1, there may be an update to update it to 18.5.2 or whatever. But here's the thing, if you scroll down, and it's not always obvious, there's an upgrade, and that upgrade is to go to iOS 26. So you'll go from 18 to the new 19, which is 26, and that will upgrade your phone to this new operating system. So if you're on 17 or 18, you can choose either one of these paths. And the main reason they did this is because some people, arguably many people, don't want to upgrade to the new version of the operating system for several reasons, like it's not soup yet, or it changes a lot of things. So you have to choose, that's where you have to choose whether you want to update or upgrade. So the question is, should I upgrade? Well, of course, it depends. And these are kind of the major reasons. iOS 26 has got some new features. It's got a snazzy new liquid glass look. It's got some more AI, not a lot, but it has some more. On the don't upgrade side, a lot of people don't like to jump onto one of these things right off the bat. Yeah, it's been in testing for a year, and yeah, but they still can encounter some bugs that are in the first release. So you might say, well, I think it needs more testing. Or I like things the way they are. I like the Photos app the way it is, and I don't want to get confused. Now, eventually you will have to upgrade, but you can postpone it if you want. So if you need more information, visit our website, longmontsctc.org. If you get to the Longmont Senior Center Go catalog, you can see our schedule for drop-in. We have help sessions and one-on-one help if you need it. We also have a YouTube channel that has a lot of these help in videos of past events. So give us a holler.